Welcome to today's edition of the Controversy Corner, where we discuss all of the controversies in school policy. Today we tackle the subject, should there be mandatory finals? Now, finals have been used to test a student's understanding of material taught during the semester by core classes. They want to see if a student retained the information they learned. But a person's grade is a reflection of what they've learned and how they did in the class. A person with a low grade had difficulty comprehending the material, but a student with an A has proven they have learned everything necessary to pass the course. Students who have learned the material should not have to reprove their knowledge on a final exam and risk losing their grade on a test worth a large amount of points covering so much material. Not only does an A show they have mastered what was taught, but they have demonstrated an extraordinary effort and dedication to the course. Students should be rewarded for this dedication and effort by being able to skip the final for that class. However, as policy stands, all core classes are required to give a final to their students, no matter what grade they have. The core classes want to test if a student retained the information and are ready to move on to the next level of education. Teachers have used these finals to make sure people review the material they learned and don't forget it. I interviewed teachers from various departments to see why they give the finals. Social studies teacher Carol Boves explained everyone must take a final. And mathematics teacher Sandra Laycock expressed the same sentiment. Everyone is required to give a final in the math department. There are no exceptions. I disagree with the current policy that finals should be given to every single student. I believe a change is needed. Hard work and effort should not have to suffer from a large cumulative test at the end of the semester. Having an A proves a student's knowledge of the material throughout the course enough to not have to take a test over it. Having an A in a class should result in a student's exemption from the class's final. Numerous students have had their grades suffer from final exams and have anti-final sentiments. Senior Corbin Sherlock stated, "Finals are determined to bring grades down. More often than not, I have failed my finals. Most of them are Fs." Junior Alec Quill recently had trouble with a physics final. Last semester I had a 93 in physics, and I definitely shouldn't have had to take the final because I had gotten an A on every test and quiz. But the teacher decided to use the past teacher's final from fall of 2006, and I received a D plus because he hadn't taught the material on there, and I lost my A. Junior Michael Paisley believes you should not have to take a final in the class if you have an A, because you have already shown you have mastered material, and it can only bring down your grade. Sophomore Sydney Azobu also stated, "You already have a lot of finals to study for, and if you have an A in the class, you won't study as much for that one class, and it could affect your grade." And finally, Junior Will Dugdale expressed his anger at finals by saying, "If I have an A, then I obviously understood the material, and I don't need a test to prove it." Now I understand having finals is preparing us for college, where there will be final exams for every class, no matter what a person's grade is. But teachers are using tests to make sure everyone knew the material, and they can see where they need to focus their energy for the next year if a lot of kids missed a certain part of the test. Now I understand that finals are there at the end of the year to keep kids focused, and that way kids with great grades don't just mentally check out and stop slacking off. Now, teachers have multiple reasons for using them, including Senor Jackman's reason is because it's required because a student really needs to prove they know the material. Carol Bovis of the Social Studies Department stated, "Everyone is equal, therefore everyone has to take the final." But everyone's grade is not equal. Why should a person with a lower grade be able to redeem themselves with a final when a person with an A could suffer from that same final? Well, we are all about solving problems here at the corner. Other schools let kids skip finals, but they have to meet certain requirements. At Carmel High School, a student must have above a C minus in all of their classes and not miss more than 2 days of any class. And then the teacher will decide if they can skip that final. At Guerin Catholic, a student doesn't have to take the final after finishing an international baccalaureate class, but all other regular classes require a final. I understand teachers want to see if kids retain the information, but having an A shows that you already know the information and you can retain it well for tests and quizzes. Also, if they want to maintain their focus, they should have the student turn in all required homework, do all the tests and quizzes, and still have an A, and then they should be able to skip the final. Also, make sure they maintain focus in class by participating and having participation grades. As long as a student can maintain their focus in the class and have an A, they should be able to skip the final exam because they already know the material by the fact that they have an A. Well, that's it for this week's edition of The Corner. We'll be sure to be back next time with all of the controversy and hopefully some solutions.